am the new generation of scary stories. It's time to retire the boring, emotionless voiceovers. With my voice and melody, you will experience the full spectrum of emotions. Subscribe if you like my videos, and also send me your scary stories to my email. And please indicate how you would like me to introduce you in the video. Good luck. Growing up, my brother was always difficult. Delinquent might be the kindest word. He stole things, mouthed off to our parents, constantly pushed boundaries. Over time, it got worse. He turned violent, lashing out physically, hurting others. To me, he always seemed cruel, evil, even. But he was my brother, and I still tried to get along with him. But this story isn't about him, it's about his room. After he finally left home, my parents moved me into it. I was still just a kid. My old room had been painted with zoo animals, cheerful and colorful. His was full of dents and holes, signs of fists slammed into drywall during angry outbursts. It felt colder in there, both literally and emotionally, but I didn't mind it too much during the day. Then came the night. I was asleep when I heard something, a soft noise, almost like whispering. I sat up, heart racing, terrified it might be my brother, somehow back again. But the room was empty, just furniture and shadows. I told myself it was nothing and went back to sleep. But the next night, it happened again. The whispering was louder this time, though I couldn't understand the words. It sounded like some strange language. Then I realized where it was coming from. Closet. I froze. Every instinct in my body screamed, "Don't move. Don't look. Just cover your face and sleep." So I did. I pulled the covers over my head and stayed like that until morning. When the sun came up, everything looked normal. I told my parents, but they brushed it off. "You're just imagining things. Houses creak at night. It's normal. You're probably just stressed." They made me sleep in the room again. That night, I kept my eyes on the closet for hours, until eventually, exhaustion won, and I fell asleep. There were no whispers that night, but what came instead was worse. I had the most vivid, horrifying nightmare, the kind only a child could dream up. Twisted, childish fear. You remember Clifford the big red dog? I dreamed he came to my window. At first I was excited. What kid wouldn't be? I was yelling, "Mom, it's Clifford. He's here." But something was off. Clifford didn't smile. He just stared at me through the glass. His eyes were hollow, soulless. I felt the joy in my chest wither into dread. Then, right in front of me, his face began to melt. His red fur melting off, jaw hanging loose, eyes slipping out of their sockets, ears drooping like wet rags. I couldn't scream. I couldn't breathe. I woke up gasping. But the nightmare hadn't ended, because when I looked toward the closet, it was wide open. I always kept it shut. I told no one. I just cried quietly and buried my face in my pillow until sunlight finally bled into the room. But the sun doesn't stay forever. That night came again. I couldn't sleep, couldn't close my eyes, couldn't open them either. I was terrified of the closet, terrified of dreaming again. Eventually, exhaustion won. This time, the dream was worse. In the dream, I walked out of that room, down the hallway, to my parents' bedroom. They were asleep, peaceful. I looked down. I had a knife in my hand. Without hesitation, I stabbed my father. He screamed. My mother woke up, but before she could speak, I stabbed her too. And then, I walked outside, into the darkness, and headed to the neighbor's house, knife still in hand. That's when I woke up, shaking, crying. My chest hurt. My face was soaked with tears. And again, the closet door was wide open. I don't remember much about my childhood after that night. Eventually, we moved. Thank God. Years later, I returned to the house briefly to help move some things out. I tried to avoid looking at the room, but I did, just for a second. The closet was still open. All right, this took place when I was 8-ish years old. Me and my family took a trip to the Union Station in Ogden, Utah, because it's a beautiful historic site for the early day trains that were built and used. Recently, in 2024, the Union Station celebrated its 100th year anniversary after it was rebuilt in 1924 from a horrible fire, which definitely played a role into the haunted energy the place has even till now. While there as a kid, you can feel those feelings and energies. Some areas or rooms have a heavy feeling to them, and it just makes you feel off, probably due to the Union Station serving a significant part of World War I and World War II. Which places connected with those wars are natural, more haunted energy from all the heavy feelings, which will be important for this story. One of the best areas of the Union Station was outside of the south side of the building, where some of the very old trains were parked for people to see and touch. Some trains you could actually get inside and look around and read some history about what the train's purpose was. One of the trains that were there was a Baldwin 060 steam locomotive military train, used for moving troops and equipment. From what I remember, you were able to access some of the carts, which held soldiers inside. While I was running around, because trains are cool, I ran into there and admittedly felt this heavy feeling and stopped running, looking around the cart and not wanting to be disrespectful for some reason. About halfway through the cart, I heard whispering in my ear. I kid you not, I heard a man's voice whisper, "Help me," in a painful voice, like the spirit of a soldier was injured before he passed. After hearing some random voice, little 8-year-old me ran so fast out of that cart and looked back to see if I was just hearing someone playing a trick on me. When looking back, I was froze in fear, as through one of the glass windows, into the next cart, I saw a shadow figure, around like 5'10"-ish in height and thin arms, just staring at me. After I recollected myself from this pit of fear in my stomach, I ran from my family tears of not understanding what I just saw. Till I got to my papa was I even able to speak, still crying and struggling to speak. I told him that I saw a black person with no face in the train. He asked me to show him, and I nervously walked him back over and pointed where this figure stared at me. Of course there wasn't anything there, but my papa served time as a Marine and also believes in the paranormal. So he taught me how to protect myself from spirits. He had me say out loud, "I saw you, and you must stay here in this train," which, for people that don't know paranormal stuff, telling a spirit that they may not come with you helps prevent attachment. After saying that, I felt better because my parent took control of the situation and told me that everything would be okay. Over the years since then, I have loved the paranormal and have done many investigations with my papa. Looking back, I feel that event was my main catalyst for the rest of paranormal activity I've heard and seen. I have been back to the Union Station since and haven't seen or heard anything like that again, but I have had similar experiences other places. I thought this would be a great, slightly terrifying story to share. I'm 16, and I work at the local grocery store. I've had the job for about a year now. Since I'm still in high school, I don't work during the day. I usually get scheduled for 3 weekday shifts, mostly closing from 6 to 10. This past Wednesday seemed like a normal night. It was around 9, maybe 9:30, and I was just waiting for my shift to end. I was up near the front of the store, restocking cans, when I noticed a man walk in. I'm not great at guessing ages, but he looked like he was around 40. He was average height, maybe 5'10", and had this really pale skin, like he hadn't been outside in a long time. His clothes didn't look dirty or anything, but they felt off, almost like they didn't fit quite right, like he had put on someone else's outfit. It was a plain gray hoodie and black jeans, but the hoodie sat too tight around the neck, and the sleeves were too short. What caught my attention was the way he moved. He looked stiff, like inhumanly stiff. He was walking as if he didn't have any joints, just kind of rigid and unnatural. His arms hung straight at his sides, barely swinging, and his feet hit the floor hard with every step. It creeped me out a little, but I ignored it and kept working. A few minutes later, I finished, and my manager told me to restock some more things near the back of the store. So I grabbed the cart and headed back. And then the man appeared again. Same strange walk. He looked like he was searching for something, but had no idea what it was. When he noticed me, he walked over and asked where the soda was. His voice was haunting, cold and flat, like there was no emotion behind it. It made me feel uneasy. Up close, his face looked wrong. Not scary, just wrong. His skin was smooth in a way that didn't look natural, almost plastic. His eyes were sunken, but not in a tired way. They just looked hollow. And the weirdest part was how he blinked. It was slow, like someone acting out what blinking is supposed to look like. I told him what aisle it was in, and then he did something that really freaked me out. He repeated my exact sentence, word for word, then said, "Thank you." That might not sound super weird, but in the moment, it felt off. I finished up and went back to my manager. I looked around for the guy, but I couldn't find him anywhere. He must have left. I asked my manager if she'd seen him, but she said no. I asked the cashier later, and he said she had noticed his weird walk, but he hadn't bought anything. I went home and tried to forget about it, but I had trouble sleeping. I kept thinking about his face. It was uncanny, like a copy of a real person. It just didn't feel right. It's been a few days, and I still can't get his face or the way he walked out of my head.